I guess it caused a little bit of a fury yesterday. And I gather, which I just found out, that Conant is the one who started the story that Calhoun addressed, to the point where Calhoun's son called up SNY to state that, in an irate fashion, that his father was not retiring. Because Conant said it on his tweet. He tweets a lot, Conant. Tweet should not be the word for Conant, because Conant doesn't tweet. When you're Conant size, you don't tweet. You don't. You just don't. Nothing's a tweet if you're Conant. Okay. But then he's on Loudmouths, and he did it again. So I want to chat with Conant. Conant's got the goods on Calhoun, so we got to get it. He's going to give it to hiring. And the guy who has, I guess, caused all this trouble at the Big East joins us now, the little tweeter himself. Yeah.
I'm never trying to cause trouble.
Well, what are you doing with Calhoun retiring stories?
Well, let's be clear. All right. First of all, we said it the other night on Loudmouth that sources close to him believe he was going to retire at the end of the year. Not he is retiring, not anything like that. Just sources close to him believe.
Well, here's what the newspapers in Connecticut accused you of: that Chris Carlin tweeted and then later repeated on Loudmouths that sources close to Calhoun say he will retire at the end of the season.
Believe he will retire is exactly what I said, and exactly what was on Twitter that was after Loudmouths.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, I can only go on, what my sources told me on the story, and I was very confident and remain very confident that that's what the situation is.
That he's going to retire now?
No, I'm not saying
even that he says now that he's not going to retire?
No, again, it's opinion of people around him. That it's not he's going to, it's opinion of people around him.
That he is going to retire?
That was their feeling.
Oh, okay.
That was their feeling. It was not he's told them. It was not he is. It was their feeling.
Did you, he said, I guess the son went on TV and said unequivocally on my children that his father is expected back next year.
Yes, that's what he believes. I get that. That was after the fact. I've never spoken to his son. I just said what I said the other night had to do with the fact, and this is well documented, that he does not have a good relationship with the AD.
That is a fact.
Of the school.
That is a fact.
Yeah. So
that is why he will not pick the next coach, because the AD is not going to let him pick the next coach.
Well, that's the point. Is that there were. I spoke to. This is not by the way, a one-day thing. This is several weeks.
Oh, you've been tweeting about this for weeks?
Not tweeting about it, but doing background.
What are you doing tweeting anyway? What is it? What is it? This
Twitter.
Twitter?
It's just another way for reporters.
Well, who did you Twitter this to?
There's about 3,000 or 4,000 people that follow me on Twitter. That's how you put a little statement out there. They follow you. They get it.
Excuse me. They follow you. How do they follow you? How does that work?
In other words, when they log on to Twitter.
So
they see what you write.
when you come up with some inane statement, they actually all get it at the same time?
I don't know that I would use the word inane statement.
But wait a second. I didn't ask you to use the word inane statement. I used the word inane statement. I knew what the words were. They were mine.
I was questioning your choice.
As I said, when you give them one of these, inane statements or, make up a story like Calhoun, 3,000 people get it immediately?
Make up a story?
Oh, yeah. You don't know if Calhoun's going to retire. You have no idea.
I never said that I knew if he was going to.
Right. Well, then why would you write it?
What I wrote was people around him believe he will.
That's one of those bogus things.
That's not a bogus
Because then
thing.
you don't know one way or the other. You're covered if it doesn't happen. You say, wait a second, I just said people think it around him.
If I had outright said that he was going to retire,
you should say.
I'd be wrong.
No, you should say.
The opinion of people.
See, that to me is not a real statement anyway, because a real statement is he's going to or he's not going to. That someone believes he's going to makes the whole thing nonsense anyway, because it doesn't mean it doesn't further the story anyway.
Well, Mike, there have been plenty of times where people have said on the air that first it was say what you will, okay? I believe from what I could gather over a.
So wait a second. Let me ask you a question here right now.
Huh?
Will Calhoun be the coach at UConn next year?
I don't know. I don't know.
Then what the hell did you tell anybody?
Mike, how many times have you said on the air, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that? Dozens, hundreds, thousands. Anybody does that same thing. And I didn't report the story as if he was retiring. I reported
you see, they reported the story. But he was
going to.
But people took the words retire. Calhoun's going to retire as Calhoun's going to retire. The idea that you said Calhoun might retire, well, hell, I might retire. I mean, it's not a story.
Mike,
that's not a story.
Mike, I'm not going to be Mike. You've said the same kind of thing hundreds of times, and you know that. I'm hearing this could happen. I'm hearing that could happen. Well, I just did the same thing.
Yeah,
and Mike, at the same time, well,
you didn't do anything wrong because you didn't report anything. Your statement meant nothing because you don't know one way or the other, so there's no story.
But when I put that out there a few weeks ago, obviously it meant something because a lot of people responded.
No, they reported that he was retiring.
Well, it's not my fault that they didn't actually read what
they said yesterday, Jim. I was watching. They said yesterday, Jim. There is a report out that you are retiring. He said that's news to me that I'm retiring.
Find the tape and find the tweet where I say that Jim Calhoun's retiring.
I didn't say that.
Find it. Well, then what are we talking about?
What I said was that it started. It was like it started a fire. The idea that you said Jim Calhoun might retire is not a story. No one cares. He might retire. Well,
then
great.
Why have you said many times on the air, I'm hearing this might happen, I'm hearing that might happen? I didn't turn it into a story.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. Connecticut turned it into a story.
It isn't your story. But what you're saying now is you have no idea what he's going to do, which means there's no story.
Mike, I'm not saying I have no idea. What I'm saying is...
Wait a second. Let me ask you. Wait a second. Let's go back to ground zero here. Is he going to retire or not?
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to retire or not.
Well, then how is there a story if you don't know if he's going to retire
Mike,
or not?
I'm saying people that were close to him believed that he was going to retire. I never made it out to be a story. It was something I said on the show. And it was something that was factually based, absolutely factually.
You said he might retire, which everyone's been saying for 2 years, has been watching to see if he retires.
And I wouldn't say that I said nothing. I said what people around him that I've spoken to believe. That's all.
Now,
that's what I said.
Well, again, I don't know what that means. To be honest with you, I'm being honest with you. I don't know what that means.
Well, all I'm saying is that...
Does the school think he's going to retire?
I don't know.
Well, if the school...
I don't know.
Well, whose people?
Mike, I'm not telling you sources.
I ask you to tell me his source. Are we talking about his family? Are we talking about the school thinks he's going to retire?
I'm not telling you sources, Mike. Why would I ever do that?
No, but I'm saying who thinks he's going to retire?
You're asking me to tell you sources. This is what you're asking me to do right now.
What,
that's not going to happen.
School would be a source?
Mike, I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, so, yeah, agreed. You said nothing. I agree.
Mike, you can position it any way you want.
Well, Con, how are you... Wait a second.
Okay?
How are you positioning it?
I told you
what is the story?
What I said, and that was it.
What is the story?
I didn't make it a story, Mike. The people who picked up on it and said, I said he's retiring, did make it a story. You're making it a story by saying this right now.
How am I making it a story?
Because you want to talk to me about how I reported that he's retiring.
Well,
I didn't report that.
Wait a second. I didn't rip you like this guy in Hartford Current ripped you.
Mike, well, I'm not going to worry about that. What can I do?
No, I didn't rip you like he ripped you, okay?
Look,
he accuses you basically of doing Rutgers' dirty work. That's what he accuses you of doing.
Well, it has nothing to do with Rutgers.
I'm just saying that's what he accuses you to. He says you are a voice of Rutgers, and that in that regard you shouldn't be talking about other Big East schools. That's his story. That's his story.
That's his opinion. It has
You're a Rutgers employee, and you shouldn't be talking about other Big East schools.
I'm not a Rutgers employee, first of all.
Well, you are too.
No, I work for the marketing company.
Well,
let's be clear. I work for the marketing company.
Do they have a contract with the school?
They do.
Okay.
And I get paid by the marketing company.
Right, but again, he's accusing you of being a Rutgers employee. That's his.
Well, then he's falsely accusing me.
Right. He said
people are upset about it. That's fine. What can I do? You know.
Well, the only one upset about it is Calhoun.
Well, what can I do about that?
Nothing.
So, I mean,
You can't do anything about it, but you understand that they were going to accept that as being information that you thought man was retiring. Because if you didn't think he was going to retire, why would you report it?
It's not my responsibility how people take what I say. When I say it a certain way, I say it a certain way for a reason. How people take it and interpret it. I mean, how many times have you run into that?
Well, Con, then don't back off. Then stand by your guns and say, I think the man's retiring. Don't say I don't know what he's going to do because that makes you look like a clown.
Mike, You're the one.
Then
right
be
now
a big
making this
boy
more than it
and
is.
stand by your guns. That's
I'm
all.
standing by my guns.
Well, that is
I came
you
on the
think he's
show
going to retire.
Say what I reported. That's what I reported. You can either take it or not. I don't care.
Okay, fine. Like I asked you, is he going to retire or not?
I don't know.
Well, that's why you're a clown. Bye. Because you don't even have the guts to stand by your story. We're back after this.
WFAN HD,